Hello and welcome back on my YouTube channel, Parth Doshi, Learning by Doing. So today in another episode of Talking with Industry Experts, we have Vijay Sadhu. Welcome Vijay on my YouTube channel. First of all, congratulations for you on becoming the UiPath MVP. It's a great achievement to be getting as a RPA professional. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Hey Path, good evening. Thank you. Thank you for having me on my channel and thank you for the kind words.
Okay, so let's start with a brief introduction about yourself. So maybe you can introduce to the audience and then we'll tell them what topic we are discussing today and we'll later start with the topic.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm working as a solution architect in one of the company and my company is Fortune Minds INC and I do provide
Mm-hmm.
solutions to different companies
Okay.
and I started off with UiPath journey back in 2018 as
Mm-hmm.
there's a leadership program going on in my company and
Okay.
they wanted to explore a couple of AI and RPA technologies out there. That's how I
Uh-huh.
got into it. And from then I am fascinated with this technology.
Right.
And right now I've been working on the setting up the infrastructure at the company and
Okay.
guiding the team and as well as even myself I'm learning as I'm doing because everything here in this field is pretty very new and even
Right.
now I keep learning every day.
Right. And we need to keep updating ourselves with all the latest updates and features coming in this technology.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is a very fast paced technology
Right.
right now.
Right. Okay. So today we are going to have a discussion with Vijay on two different topics. One is going to be the development life cycle of any project, and the second is going to be COE. So Vijay will be talking about on both these topics, and we'll be learning from him about the development life cycle as well as the COE. Okay, Vijay. So let's start with the development life cycle and maybe we can understand it in a bit more detail, like what is it and how it depends upon organization to organization.
Sure. Development life cycle for RPA is a bit different compared to any other software
Right.
because it requires very detailed documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like basic steps are same. Like it starts off from requirements, and
Mm-hmm.
it starts off at looking at the requirement, what the business needs, and what problem they're solving,
Right.
and that problem comes to COE, and COE looks at the problem if it's the right cap, and the COE is responsible to tell like if this is the right problem to solve using RPA or it can be solved with any other technologies.
Okay.
And if COE is satisfied to do this project in RPA, they do the cost analysis and timing and maintenance. There are a lot of other parameters to look for and get it approved in COE. And
Okay.
once it's very approved, the
Mm-hmm.
planning and designing phase comes in.
Okay.
During like most of the RPA projects,
Mm-hmm.
the, like more 90% of the project gets completed very fast within weeks, I say. And
Uh-huh.
based on looking at the requirements, it can be the the questions you need to ask is, are you going to solve it using an attended bot or an unattended bot?
Okay.
And
Okay.
the issue after getting this information, you go and ask for a business analyst to give us a document on like what the problem is, and the document is should be pretty clear, I say. Like it should be capturing each and every um,
Detail
step
about the
it has.
process.
Yes, it has to be very detailed
Okay.
because it would be a lot helpful in the maintenance phase.
Right.
So like before when there was no task capture, we were writing a document on a page and using
Right.
stickers, and it was funny. I don't know why I haven't used images on phone to capture all the steps, but yeah, like now with the task capture, the work is
Right.
so easy. So after requirements it is design, and after it is planning and then designing, and
Okay.
then it would be development. So
Okay.
after development, the development is like it requires, if it's unattended bot, it's gonna take a different route, and if it's an attended bot, it requires training the users as well,
Right,
and
because
how
in
the
attended we need to identify also like at which particular scenario or case a human will be required and when our bot will be doing the processing.
exactly, that is correct. And like what are the things they should be doing when the bot is
Right.
running on the PC, and
Mm-hmm.
it is on demand. And then after development, it goes to deployment, and the deployment, like it can be, there would be a UAT phase in between,
Right.
and then it would be deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So after deployment, we would give out the documents out to the users of what is the project going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and what what's the scope of this project. And
Right.
after the deployment, there are like support emails which comes in, like
Mm.
if there is a system exception, it goes to certain
Right.
people, and if there's a business exception, it goes to certain section of people. And
Right.
once we have the
Mm-hmm.
document handed over to the business, and that's where support kicks in for the maintenance. So
Okay.
like for maintenance, like the PDD document is the Bible or Bhagavad Gita for them. So
Right.
it is very important for them,
Right.
like, or else they'll be lost in their
Because
path.
it helps them understand what the complete process is, how it is being performed, and where actually it is being used, and what are the uh, things included or excluded.
Yes, exactly. Because like there would be times where you have to fix the problem within 24 hours or 32 hours, like, because the production support, they don't wait much time.
Right.
So it has to be fixed in like a
Immediately.
record time. Yeah. So that's why the document is very important.
Right. Right.
The same problem is, if the same developer is solving the problem, then it would be very quick. He knows where to go and fix it. If not, if there is a different set of people who are just looking at the
Support.
support, yeah,
Right.
they need a very clear PDD document.
Right, because the person who has developed he himself has the complete idea where he has given what kind of variables or anything logic or anything as such. But when submitting it to some different team, they need a proper understanding of that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, right. So one question I have initially when you said that when the requirement comes in or when there is a project something, the COE decides whether we can go ahead with the project or not, right? So let us assume if a company does not have a COE, then what happens in that case?
So like the developer or someone who is sponsoring the project would become part of COE.
Okay,
So the COE is nothing but someone taking a decision of
okay,
automating a process or not. It's not someone who is like who comes in with a suit and tie and says, "I'm the COE." Yeah,
right.
yeah, anyone who is part of this project can become a COE.
Okay, so sometimes there is a dedicated team with that particular label, and sometimes it's the developer or the team lead who acts as that particular part.
Yep. So to be to be explaining in a
Hmm.
simple words, it's like there would be one person representing the process. One of the person should be like a developer or someone who is going to solve the problem, and the other one would be the business analyst who is like intermediate, like
Okay, point
explaining
of
the business
contact.
to the developer, a point of contact. So like the basic team would look.
Right. Yeah, so we were discussing about the COE part. So if there is a dedicated COE team or there is a team lead or someone who is acting as that particular person.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
right. So another question is now let's say when the production is done, right? I have heard this particular term. There is something called a hypercare period. So can you tell what exactly that is like once the production is done? So what is that hypercare period?
So it would be different for different projects. So
Okay.
sometimes like the requirements might not have been captured,
Mm-hmm.
because there would be a lot of exceptions, or like a lot of different scenarios which might come in later after it went into production.
Okay.
So it depends. Maybe Hypercare would, I would say it would be around 3 months from the project it went live,
Okay.
to understand like what are the different scenarios
Okay.
better if it's any.
Okay. And every organization can have their own kind of hypercare period.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Some
Okay.
projects can go for 1 year because it would be like a lot of other scenarios which they might have not expected,
Right.
and it would be a pretty important project.
Right. Right. Okay. So one more question. Maybe this might not be in the context that what we are covering in this video, but this is a sudden question that came to me. Now, what is the importance of POC in every project? So is when should be a POC done and when should be not, or is it like that in every project a POC should be done initially? So can you give some of your views on that particular thing?
Yeah, so I think it's always better for a team to provide a proof of concept, because they
Okay.
will have a first-hand knowledge of how the bot works, even
Okay.
though like they're not doing it by themselves. But that gives a lot of confidence to the business that this technology can really work and provide solutions.
Right.
So no matter how simple or small your proof of concept it could be, I would say like one should have a proof of concept before they start development,
Okay.
and that can provide like the business to think in a different way, and provide a PDD document in a better step-by-step
Right, right. So it
document.
is always a good option to go ahead first with the POC. So the client who is requesting a project and the development team both get a clearer idea about that.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, okay. I think we have pretty much covered about development life cycle and the COE as well. So it's not like that. What, as per my understanding after our discussion, is that CO is not something that should be there in other organization, because an individual team lead or some other person can also play that particular role.
So it depends on organization to organization, right?
Okay.
So like if there is no COE setup already,
Mm-hmm.
there anyone who is part of the stakeholder of this project can act as a COE. But
Okay.
yeah, it's not like anyone can become COE. It's like COE would be required. Like if it's a very big organization, like
Mm-hmm.
then like I would recommend the people in the COE should complete the solution architect and business analyst, so academic course on UiPath.
Okay.
So like there would be some criteria to be part of COE. If there would be like if there is none who is part of COE, then what I said is right. But
Okay.
yeah, most of the companies require certain rules to be part of COE.
Right. Right. Okay. So before we end this our complete discussion, one last thing from my side is any guidance or tips that you would like to give to the people who are aspiring RP developers or solution architect or business analyst, like any guidance or tips that you might have learned from your experience and that you would like to share with the UiPath community?
Sure, yeah, definitely. So one thing I understood is getting the PDD document from the business is the key in
Okay.
solving this whole RPA problem, because the more you understand the problem and more you sit with the analyst or the business stakeholder, that
Mhm.
will give you a lot of uh, knowledge on
Understanding
the
about the
project.
process.
Yes,
Okay.
and like once you have the clear PDD document, development doesn't take much time. But if
Mhm.
once you start off with the development like pretty quick, and later you want to make changes, that would be taking a lot more time than
Right.
like
Got it.
having a complete good PDD document before. one tip I can provide, I can give the RPA developers is use screenshots and pictures a lot. Like
Okay.
all the documents should have a screenshot of the process. If at all, like most of the RPA projects deals with the selectors and screens. I'm
Right.
sure you shouldn't miss any single screenshot of the RPA process.
Right.
That helps in the maintenance phase.
Right.
And second thing is like make use of UiPath Connect and open source libraries. They'll
Mhm.
turn out of there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
People are awesome there. They are providing solutions for free. You don't have to code anything. Just look for before coding. I'm not saying you don't have to code. Before coding, just go to the UiPath Connect, download
Right.
it, try it for yourself, and then decide. That is one thing. And if you are dealing with a lot of coding, don't
Mhm.
use loops activity like in a much there would be if activity or like some kind of
Right.
conditions.
So something
Use
like
huge
data table operations, try to find a link query for them where you can perform the data table operations, reducing the number of loops.
yeah, exactly. Instead of
Right.
using activities for small things, yeah,
Right.
you should try to use code snippet activity or like as you said link activity,
Right.
those kind of stuff. And you can even create your own .NET packages and deploy it as NuGet, use it on
Right.
your yeah.
Right.
So
And now
those
we
are
also
some
have
tips.
that UiPath activity creator to easily build the activities along with if the scope we want to build something like that. So we also have that UiPath activity creator as well now.
Exactly. Yep.
Right, right. Okay, okay, Vijay. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge on the development lifecycle COE and also some part of the POC and other guidance tips and as well. I hope this helps a lot of people out there who are aspiring solution architect or would like to gain a bit more understanding about this, that how it works within an organization. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation and making this video.
It's my pleasure for being on your channel, Path.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you, Path.